Hello, and welcome to Archvelder's Hacks with Archvelder and his amazing hacks. This video is about some of the cool toys in World of Warcraft, and the exploits and glitches you can discover by using them in a variety of sneaky, dirty, filthy ways, mainly designed for cosmetic and vanity purposes, or perhaps just idle amusement. Many of these toys have rogue fragments of code, which allow the players to do some very interesting things, not normally possible in-game. The first toy in this list is the Shard of Archstone, and you can see exactly what it does here. In addition to the visual effect of turning your character into Mogu's statue, it also makes your character untargetable by the players. You can get it from the mob Havoc in Kunlai Summit in Pandaria. There's a fascinating glitch you can use when activating the shard on top of any object or building with a hollow center. Simply activate the shard and your character will turn completely invisible. Even your nameplates won't show. Sadly, the effect ends if you move, though pet-using classes can order their pets to attack without breaking the effect. Some weapons still appear, such as Demon Hunter Glaives, despite the invisibility. The second toy I'm going to talk about is Narcissa's Mirror, and what this item does is copy the appearance of the player onto any non-combat pet they target. They retain their size, but take on your appearance. You can purchase Narcissa's Mirror from the pet store in New Dalaran. It isn't straightforward to acquire though, requiring 1,000 pet charms. Pet charms can mainly only be acquired by doing world quests at max level, though with a number of ults it is relatively easy if you have a few decent battle pets. For pet battle strategy, I highly recommend Zufu's guides, which I'll link to below. The movement and abilities of the non-combat pet remain, only their appearance changes. As you experiment with the mirror, things get weirder and weirder. Any transformation on your character passes over to the pet when the mirror is used, as I'm demonstrating here. But the original movement characteristics of the pet remain, as with this flying Mr. Smite. You can also alter the size of the pet with a magical pet biscuit, creating this very distracting flying Tauren. You can even take this pet into a battleground. The next item to obtain is Shushen Spitoon, and this is a very simple one to get. Just go to Crashin Wilds and get the quest Raid Leader Slavan. Slavan is hiding behind the waterfall on the Crashin Wilds border. Don't go into the Valley of the Four Winds by mistake. There's a very similar item we're going to pick up called Jim Warmkeg's Brew. For that, just get the quest Hold Up from Kunlai Summit at this location.
Tell me of your travels.
Both of these items are meant to be fun vanity items, but contain warped code and behave more like static NPCs than objects. You can cast spells on these items in much the same way as you can with other players. For example, here I put down the Brew and I can use Shining Force to attack this warrior from an angle he can't possibly predict and send him into the Twisting Nether. Similarly, you can cast an AoE heal like Prayer of Healing on the Brew or the Spitoon to effectively extend the range of heal, and this is often invaluable in large group encounters where the healer wants to stay out of melee range. There are dozens of other situational applications. For example, you can shadow step or intervene on these items to create a virtual teleport in combat, similar to a Transcendence or Demonic Circle. The next item is the blue Crashin Thrashin Racer, which you can purchase from the Wonderworks in Dalaran, that's the toy shop. This item allows you to instantly bypass and look behind instance portals, and for that reason virtually every serious exploiter and explorer I know of has this item. The Racer also has an ability called Racer Rocket Slam, and that will actually bypass certain types of invisible wall. Its visual is different, but it behaves mechanically very much like the Mage Blink spell. Also, if you're a truly horrible person, you can use the Racer to aggro raid bosses remotely in LFR and cause wipes. There's a very similar item to the Racer called Foxicopter Controller that you can purchase for 1,000 gold from Sally Fizzlefury in the Valley of the Four Winds. The main difference between this item and the Racer is that the Foxicopter allows you to fly, and is one of a very limited number of ways to fly indoors. For example, here in the Inscription Hut in New Dalaran. Using the Foxicopter, you can often see the smoke and mirrors the game designers use when they believe the players can't access a certain location. For example, here you can see the textures are only one way at the roof, as no one was ever meant to get up here. The Foxicopter can be used to circumvent dismount mechanics. For example, you can get under Dalaran via the method I'm going to show you here. Now, you can actually do this with your main character in a flying mount. That method was developed by Logan Heath on his amazing channel, and I'll link to his video below. Now, when I tried to use that method, I found it took me dozens of attempts before I mastered it due to getting repeatedly dismounted. And here you can see the advantage of the Foxicopter because it's a vehicle and dismount mechanics don't apply. There's quite a lot to see down here, as you can imagine, and if you can get down here physically, there are a number of locations which are normally inaccessible to players, often the subject of some class-specific quest. The next item can be obtained from Moldo One-Eye in the Valley of the Eternal Blossoms. And that item is the Panflute of Pandaria. Now, this item hypnotizes any critters in the vicinity. And to illustrate the enormous power of this item, go to Valiant's Keep in the Borean Tundra and fly over to this little ice island with penguins all over it, and then you can assemble your own penguin army. I do this when I'm leveling, and I like to feel me and the Lich King are now on even terms. It is very important when controlling your penguins not to become corrupted by your newfound godlike powers and ultimately lose your soul. You can also do this with the sheep in the mountains to the right of Stormwind. And you can then take them down to the human spawning area if you want to confuse the hell out of some new players. And after that you can take them down to Gulchar to show off. You can also do this with the pigs in the farm outside Orgrimmar, and those actually aggro NPCs for some reason. And all across Azeroth you'll be able to find interesting and creative uses for this particular item. The Darkmoon Seesaw was for a long time the most powerful weapon in the Explorer's arsenal, as it can be used to glitch through barriers, like this gate barring off Echo Ridge Mine in the human starting area. The Seesaw can be obtained from the games of the Darkmoon Fair for 50 prize tickets. The Seesaw was heavily nerfed in instance content, but it still has some very powerful properties. For example, Look at what happens when I use it to glitch into this barrel in the Scarlet Enclave in the Eastern Plaguelands. This graveyard teleport happens with the barrels in all human inns across Azeroth. The next item is one of the most powerful on this list, but requires a little effort as it can only be obtained from the quest Leaders Among Breeders, which is way down the Valley of the Four Winds quest chain. Start off the chain with Chen Stormstout and Lily at the border with Jade Forest and keep questing, ignoring quests which take you out of the zone or deal with professions. Eventually you'll get Leaders with Breeders from Chen himself at Pankstead. And the quest reward you get from Leaders with Breeders is this marvellous turnip. And this turnip has effectively unlimited health, and it can be attacked even in dungeons. And it's wonderful for building up resources. The final item on this list is Al Lee's Skymirror. And this can be obtained from Al Lee herself, who's an elite in the Dread Wastes. And she's quite close to the Heart of Fear raid instance entrance. Al Lee's Skymirror is arguably the most powerful item on this list. Although used by itself, it just turns your character slightly translucent. When used in conjunction with other items that create temporary disguises, you get an amazing synergy. Through the use of the Skymirror, the disguises can be extended way beyond their natural duration and taken into uninstanced and instanced PvP, where they can have a number of advantageous or even game-breaking effects. There is so much to cover here that I'll be going into much more detail in a subsequent video, which is going to be the definitive guide on transformations in the world of Warcraft. So there's the video. If you liked it, why not subscribe? And if you really liked it, why not consider joining my exclusive club of Patreon donators who get all my strongest hacks weeks or months before they appear on YouTube. Thanks for watching. This has been Archveld.